Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the PGI EU qualifier, as we have only 4 games remaining. And for a lot of people out there, they were hoping FaZe Clan was going to show up here in the final day, and so far they have done so, with the pop-off as well, to get things going for day number 3. Welcome back to the analysis desk, as we do have to my left-hand side, Toffees and Avenger once again. Gentlemen, so far so good for the start of the recovery here, the redemption of FaZe, but they've still got a long way to go.
Yeah, it's funny because you're going to be watching, anybody who's not a FaZe fan is going to be watching and be like, favoritism, favoritism, they love FaZe. And we do love FaZe when they play well and they keep the story going, right? We want to see this fight for tops, and we want to see FaZe prove that they're the best in the world, which they say they are.
Let's be fair, though. We were very critical in the first couple of days because they did not show up.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had the worst games you have seen from FaZe, but they were actually still decent. They got 6th after 10 games, but they were like, this is horrendous.
Yeah.
We are playing worse than we've ever been playing before, but still they got 6th, and now they're 700 points off. Welcome to South George. And again, as I said before, welcome to South George. They're the team struggling the most with circles away from them.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Knights are doing well with circles away from them. Liquid are doing somewhat well as well. So, I mean, welcome to South George will be the team to single out.
I was say, I mean, FaZe has Circle Teflon sprayed on them. They just can't seem to get it to stay on top of them. That was the first game where it was close, but even then, they never actually got a circle on top of them. They were always sort of chasing it by a few hundred meters. So it was good to see them back to playing their aggressive style. They started a little bit slow in this one, but honestly, I think getting that chicken dinner to start is going to make them a lot more aggressive going into 2 and 3, because they sort of, they're one of those teams that once momentum starts, they don't let off the gas pedal.
I want to ask you guys about Welcome to South George, obviously, because they are a component of this top spot that is very, very important and predominant. What happens for a team like Welcome to South George if the circle does go east, for example? How do you see them being able to deal with the hardships that a lot of our eastern teams have had to deal with when, say, for example, rotating to the west?
For me here, Welcome to South George, if we see an eastern circle, if we see around the lumber mill, or even towards the multi-power, small multi-power, we talked about it yesterday, it would be a beautiful ending. But Welcome to South George, they will struggle a bit with it. Also, depending on the plane, though, they will loot late. They will come into the first circle on the edge and then take a decision on the second circle. They recently changed up some of their calling. I think they will still do well. They will still be able to sneak into the sub-7th. So they're trying to keep FaZe away, trying to keep them on edge, because they still got a 700-plus lead on them.
Yeah, on that circle, they tend to rotate late, and they tend to rotate in 2s as well.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where that's, I think, their biggest weakness is they will, I believe, try to play a little more passive here. They'll try to secure their spot, and if they do rotate late, they're going to get picked off very, very aggressively, and there's not a lot of res potential. If you send 2 and then follow 2, and those 2 go down, there's nothing you can do to help them.
If you had a keen eye there, you could see the plane path for the next map, and that's kind of a prelude of what is maybe to come. But beyond that, let's talk also about Pittsburgh Knights, because Knights, once again, super consistent. It remains there. We noticed that the average placement for them has been 6th throughout this entirety of the 2 days to begin with. They got 4th. They're slowly bumping up their average. How is this even possible?
That is just a beautiful thing for Knights. They are able to salvage just with 1 player.
Yeah.
He got 4th. They still racked up the kills. They lost a couple of players into the transition, and they are so fast to see, okay, we lose 1 or 2 players. We're down to maybe 2 or even 1 player. Then they go from killing mode, switch up, snake mode. Then they snake, push into the center slowly. They know the map so well, so they know where they can sneak in, which rocks, which trees, and which ridges they can stay to.
So they've been increasing their speed and their violence in the end circles lately, and I like that, because traditionally, this is a team who's very comfortable qualifying for things by not winning chicken dinners, by getting 3rd places, and for now, that's fine. They'll get to Berlin in 2nd or 3rd, if I don't miss my guess, with maybe 1 chicken dinner possible. When they get to Berlin, that's no longer really what you want. You want a team that is playing to win the whole thing, and they seem to be doing that to me. They have increased the amount of fights they're taking. They have increased the amount of kills that they're averaging, and they're really sort of gathering around Texas, letting him play aggressively, and I think that that's working well for them.
Sorry, go on.
For me here, Voxic and Drayden is also huge momentum for this team. Voxic, Drayden, amazing fraggers himself, but they kind of enable Texas to frag out as well. We've seen some insane kill games from Pittsburgh Knights as well.
When we were talking about that yesterday, sort of you see Texas going off on sort of these weird flanks. It's almost like they have him on a string kind of attached to them. But it's not just they let him go. It's that when he goes, when he makes a strange decision, they back him by moving immediately in the opposite direction, taking fire, setting up cover, and distracting his opponent so that he's getting some really beautiful flanks and picks in these games.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time now for our next game here in day number 3. Let's head over to the commentary team to bring you all the action again.
Thank you very much, and here we go. Just a couple more games to go. Can FaZe do it again? It's a deep south plane again. This time it's going to be going over the edge of Quarry and skirting the edge of Novo. It is another horrific plane for all of these northern teams. What can they do to get a plane path going their way?
At this point, who do you blame? Is it RNGesus or is it Player Unknown? These plane paths are just
If it's
cruel.
Twitter, you just blame Player Unknown.
Yeah, that's the way it works. All social media always going his way at the time. But I gotta say, it's gonna be another one of those interesting games where everybody's gonna be fighting over cars, doing the stretch for it, trying to grab what they can, and trying to make these long transitions into the north. Specifically, if you're a team like Alliance, one of these plane paths is so hard. Specifically, if we see a hard shift back down towards military base, I know the guys at the desk been really talking about military base. I want a Stolber game.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Stolber game some point here relatively soon. But if it does shift back down towards military base, good Lord, it's going to be so hard to get back down there.
It's going to get messy, no doubt about it. You can see the planes going straight over. The boys from Welcome to South Georgia, they're going to be able to get the cars and get into Georgia Bowl relatively quick. It's not too bad for them. But someone like Team Liquid, who are obviously at the top of the table right now, they probably have the most arduous journey up to Yasnaya along with Wizards. You've also got to, like you say, you mentioned Alliance. They're going to go West Coast and try it and get through North Georgia and reach shooting range. I don't know. Maybe they're just going to adjust their paths based on what's going to go on there. FaZe, of course, going to be jumping out, one of the last people to go up towards Milton Power. They've got to be careful they don't bump in, and more importantly, protect their cars, because the Knights are going to be looking to steal their vehicles here.
There are so many people really clustered around that western area of the map at the direct time. Ultra's trying to grab vehicles. You can see that's where Alliance dropped out of all places. You got Elgin over there. Atlantis is over there.
Fighting.
So many people have already managed to grab a vehicle and a couple of guns. And I got to say, Alliance is already starting to pop off, getting a kill onto Singularity, and this is their home.
Okay, so Atlantis, the plane went over Novo. That's where Atlantis has been going. They've chose to bail early and challenge Singularity, which is interesting because that's a challenge for points. And hello, welcome to South Georgia Bowl.
They are happy
we have
right now.
Lovely beaches and a bridge too.
I know, which could be
says.
problematic for Rogue. Rogue has been having some trouble with bridges lately, but FaZe, this has been the circle they've been having the most trouble adapting to. How much homework did they do last night? Can they make that adaptation? They have one of the furthest trips to make at this point. They actually do have Knights that's going to be in their general vicinity as well, but we've been talking about how consistent Knights is. It's a matter of, can FaZe get back into the circle safely after getting the loot? Because remember, they were one of the last teams to drop off. You can see Hexetti still in the air. He hasn't landed and even started his looting phase yet.
Well, look at Alliance. They've chose to stick on that western coast, but it is so crowded, so crowded. There's Gaxi, he's going to be blasting in, and the Welcome to South Georgia, they're all going to be inside. I think Miraku's just been collected one member. Now, Savage is kind of en route, but might block them off. You can see he's in the house on the side there, so he might take a couple of shots and cause some problems. Of course, FaZe Clan, 700 points behind Welcome to South Georgia. There is Savage taking the shots. It is only the Micro Uzi, but it's forced them to take a bit of a serious deviation. They're going to be up and over the hill, and we're safe into South Georgia.
They're going to be back over in their home. We'll probably see them do a little bit of a transition at this point. You can see that FaZe finally managing to roll into their location, separating out, getting their loot. They have a very set loot strategy over here, and it's kind of clinical if you watch it. Everybody has their own specific place that they're supposed to go. They get the loot. They communicate as they go with what they need from their other team members, so everybody's picking up stuff. It's a really solid approach, and since they're such good gunners, they get control over this area. Nobody even tries to come over and contest it, which is one of the things I found kind of surprising. You'd think that a couple of teams today might kind of throw friendships out the window and hot drop on a couple of guys.
Well, look at Yasnaya. The Wizards are there first. Liquid are only just rolling in. I wonder if Gova or something like that could maybe get a gun early and try to cause some problems, cut them off before they even get into that side. It looks like he's just going to stick around apartments. They're not going to be aggressive. It looks like Wizards are going to be playing this one safe. He did get a Vector early on, but you can see Liquid arriving safely on the eastern side. Gova, he has pushed over a lot further than he ordinarily would, I think, there, but I don't think he's going to go too aggressive. These guys, remember, coming in, you can see Scream's just collected himself an AK, so it's all going to be peaceful as was in Yasnaya.
Yasnaya always tends to be like the really nice neighborhood, Pachinki is always the bloodbath zone. If you go over towards Yasnaya, it always tends to be a little bit more polite over there, Just kind of wave at your neighbors as you guys go out and collect your loot. Let everybody kind of do their own thing over there. I think everybody's kind of gotten into a little bit more of a comfort position. Atlantis did do that drop, and it's going to kind of mess up some of these rotations that are coming through because we have Atlantis and Alliance over here. And see, still tell El Gigantin trying to figure out how they're going to reposition through this. Guys from Singularity, they still have kind of their base points to go off of, but that's going to make it a lot harder. If you drop in this location, it's all about going from building to building, so that way you can get the loot, really power your way into the mid game. With so many extra teams here now, it's going to make it really hard to get all the loot pieces you need, and we got presents from heaven, speaking of loot.
And that's Anti-Pyro. That is Andy Pyro there. Method have already moved to Everest, and they're going to get themselves this crate dropping down. But that is a very early. Now, the plane path kind of did go over close to Pachinki, so they kind of bailed out early, but that was a very early movement coming out of the boys from Method. It's always Andy Pyro and Chris that tend to go out early as well, but this is going to be a crate. Look at Andy Pyro. He's like jumping up and down, waiting for this thing to come down. It's like, please be an AWM, please be an AWM, please be an AWM.
They know that they need to get the kills. They want to move up in the leaderboard. They're within touching distance of that top 3 spot. He's going to land.
Groza, that's not bad.
Groza's not bad in this specific location. We've seen a lot of people translating and moving up into this upper area of Everest, so there might be a couple of squads that push in this direction. He does have Chris that's right next to him that has the Car 98, so between their powers combined, they can really take out anybody that tries to encroach in this area.
They'd be like, what is it that combines?
Well, it depends on the way you want to go. We can go with like Voltron, but there's only 2 of them, so are they the Wonder Twins, like from the old like Super Friends stuff? Wonder Twin powers activate.
Our powers combined.
We are Captain PUBG? I don't know.
there's a couple of things, really.
Yeah,
I guess you could go with, right? The people combining. But we saw the Flames on the rotate there. They decided to get across. Bjorn was not a bad day for the Flames yesterday. They definitely upped their position, but they're still way down at the bottom of the table. They didn't have a good performance in the previous matchup either, so it's still not matching up to what they did on the qualifiers. Blank themselves, I think it's time that they should start collating because they are very spread right now and people are starting to rotate already. We can see it. Gaxy's actually gone rotating really early. He's close to Method.
He was trying to rotate in the exact same spot that Method was at and just caught unaware. So he's now had to retreat back out. You can see the other guys from Welcome to South George. They're over in Georgia Pool still. They've got a little bit of contention that's going over there with El Giganten. So they're going to have to push this general location because Gaxy's in a little bit of trouble at the direct time. We've got Bjorn also joining the party. This is getting really, really kind of tangled very quickly in this location. I gotta say, this is a lot more of what I was expecting whenever we were looking at day 3. These guys kind of interacting with each other to certain degrees much, much earlier.
Well, here comes Rogue getting over the bridge.
Safely.
They did have Yannick over the other side, so I guess he's kind of secured it, although he seems to be happy looting in Ferry Pier more than anything else. So welcome to South George, get themselves in there. El Giganten and Singularity very much spread. As I mentioned, Blank, I think it's time they should start getting together. This is something we see from Tempo Storm, right? They go for that West Coast loot sprat, and when the circle goes their way, they're always very late on getting together, and I think we're seeing the same thing from Blank right now. This circle, I mean, it offers so much water. Nobody going north, by the way. It could swing to that northern shooting range area. And
that's kind of interesting because we've already seen Alliance do a little bit of a reposition, so that nobody's in that northern area right now. It's kind of free and open if Red Zone wants to go up there. We were kind of talking about in a couple of the earlier games. There's that gamble. Do you think that it's going to go north of the river that runs right through the map or south of the river? So most people are opting into that southern area at the direct time, but there is a chance that it could just go straight east and be right along that river line, and that could lead to some very interesting interactions as those little mini bridges do become camp locations very quickly.
It's very clustered. Method have gone for a bit of a split. It looks like they've gone that garage. I think the rest of Method are going to join them. Welcome to South George, as you mentioned. They've gone for that 2-2 split in and around Everest. Wizards taking a northern path. I think we'll probably see Liquid doing the same, a northern rotation.
Oh, back to Zarky, though. We can see that Gaxy seems like he has a good idea on where he's at. Dave just wanted the crate, and he's in and out.
It's already been gone, though. That's the one that Andy looted. So disappointment on his face, I think. Back to Zarky boys. Izugo Boars, they've rotated around. Here's come FaZe Clan. They're going to start getting their move on. They're going to be very late on the rotations this time, FaZe Clan. Moonwolf the same. We're seeing a similar path for Moonwolf. Look, they've chose, because that southern coastline has been such a problematic area with Penta, they've chosen to go over the East Bridge once again and come all the way over to West Bridge. But we can see Rogue is still posted there. They will be on the move before they get there. Penta, meanwhile, the rotations, they're very close to Knights, actually, both rotating together.
Right on top of each other. And that means they're going to be entering in a fairly similar spot. You can see that there's not a good spots that are really up and available. We kind of talked about it inside the last round where there's a lot of fields inside of a circle like this. So your real estate ends up being a lot more hillsides, what little pieces of buildings that you can find that have good sight lines coming out of them. Finally, we're now seeing Knights and Penta separate out a little bit as they're coming around the Pachinki area. One of them going north, one of them going south. We do have our guys from Welcome to South George popping into their very favored building over here. It's a good spot. Specifically, if you get that foothold, if these guys have to start translating up into that northern area, it could be dangerous.
And look what they're doing. Welcome to South George. They've got 2 on the north side of the river, 2 on the south side. That's a really nice work, though. So if it does swing north, which, as we were talking about, it could swing north. There's not a lot of people gambling on that northern swing right now. It's going to pull to the east. We know that. It's going to swing away from that water a big chunk. The question is, will it be a southern swing down towards Gatkaway, or will it be a northern swing and suddenly North George and everything on it, that hillside? We saw a finish there yesterday very competitive, and all of these teams got to rotate over that bridges. Or, I mean, how do you get it? You can't take a wide swing. It's going to be a catastrophe if it goes north for everyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of teams opt into just tanking the blue for a little while if we get a wide swing to the northern areas. Finally, a couple of these teams are opting in to come in, specifically the late teams. You see this be very, very common. The teams that come in very late that had to go for much longer in their looting paths, they're going to go into those northern areas because they know it's a little bit weaker. All the guys are going to opt into a much harder center location. It's a way to stay alive, get a little bit more control over it, but we do have the blue that's kind of encroaching in now. Knight's doing a long push around the south. Look at that. Looks like they're going to come back up and around. They aren't aware of how hot that area actually is with all the squads that drop down in that location right now and haven't been able to disengage away from each other.
And is that just lack of thinking ahead of themselves? Because the plane path went over that way. You always think of the plane path, right, of where it went. And obviously we saw they're not going to be aware of the fact that about 5 teams all dropped in that one area.
But that's the weird thing about pro play. Pro players never like to hard drop in a specific down location. Like they always want to stretch out a little bit more. So you almost get this double thought, like the path that's directly along the plane path is the safest spot because everybody's going to push out and away from it. So it's going to be a little bit more dangerous. And speaking of danger, we've got the guys from Moonwolf coming into contact with one of the squads, just going to pull off and go in a different direction now. They're right on the edge of the circle here, as you can see. They're going to have to push up on this, but we already have Pinta that was just rolling right up into flames.
Not what they wanted. They've lost Udia Mayfire already. Brexico has got himself out. He gets a decent amount of shots off Bjorn, but doesn't land them with the Scar there. Has to peek back around the side, and I think Udime Fire might be in trouble. I don't think they're going to be able to revive him. He's a little too far forward. Cup of Magic's gone for a really big flank, though, around the left-hand side.
There's that little cliff ledge, so he managed to drop down, so he's in a little bit safer of a spot. Flames have to like reach out to try to get him. The problem with it is Pinta also has to move from their covered position to get over there. Smokes are starting to come out now. You can see Cup of Magic is the defender. He does see his sights onto one of them, tries to line it up, can't quite get the down on it, but does get about half damage onto Fever.
Yeah, that was the shot he needed to land. He's looking for that headshot with the red dot. Not going to quite pick it off. The smoke down. He has managed to crawl in, so there will be a revive on Udime Fire. Got himself through the doors. Doesn't look like there's a great deal of grenades for the Copenhagen Flames. I would have expected quite a few nades to follow through, but look at this. Coming up the other side of the hill, going into the yellow buildings just to the east is going to be FaZe Clan. They're going to be hearing these shots. They're hunting for points. They may get drawn to this fire.
Well, they have a nice position at the direct time. Specifically, they can get teams as they're transitioning out.
Look at that circle
and the
move.
circle shift is now up and available. You were talking about the water. Well, let's have some more water. If you're welcome to South George, you have to be kicking yourself because you just left a location smack dab in the middle of the circle. El Gigante's in a great spot. All these guys that are on the edge, they just have to hard push now, specifically in the southern part of the circle. It's going to get explosive. Lots of shots coming out from Jazza. Finally managed to get the down from his teammate off in the distance. So checking to make sure, take a couple of shots, make sure there's nobody else inside the buggy there.
What do you just do there, son? Doesn't matter. T-Bone takes him down. I think he must have knocked the vehicle. Hyper's drowned. Okay, somebody taking shots on the Wizards as they try and blast on by, but this battle between Penta and Flames is just hotting right up now, as it's going to be Penta that will come out on top. The Hamster gets himself a knock. I think Fever, the last man standing for the Flames, somewhere up on that hillside, but there is a lot of people knocked for Penta as well.
Fever is in a great position off on it. We're over here with Grow Up, who did a great job inside the last round. But they're going after Knights again. Remember, these guys got the downs and eliminated Knights last time around. Can't quite connect on the shots, though. That beachfront property is very, very dangerous as they're moving through there, but it gives a little bit of a path. You have to be very cautious on where you stop. You can see so many of these teams are trying to figure out, okay, what's available at this point? We've actually got FaZe and Method on top of Everest right now. They can just take pot shots down on anybody in their line of sight. This is going to be dangerous on rotations.
Look at the massive deep rotation coming out of Liquid.
This is what they do.
They're going way around south to get out of there. Meanwhile, we do see Welcome to South George engaging on Blank. They've tried to rotate around, and it's just not gone their way. The Copenhagen Flames, they're also coming in towards FaZe Clan as well. They're going to try and get by. Pony Rider trying to get away from this one. Cup of Magic just going to light him up. Fever had also gone north, so he's managed to get himself out of there. Yannick taking shots. Grow Up Esports getting picked apart. Andy Pyro getting down by Jazza. Where was that? As Foffen gets hit by Car 98 on the radio tower.
We talked about the danger of playing around those positions on top of Everest. When you step up, you can get peeked upon, get shot. It's really strong whenever there's not everybody around, but we got 70 people alive, all within about 500 to 1,000 meters of each other. Everybody can see each other at this point. FaZe
Clan right above Method as well on that Everest spot, so they're going to creep along above them, so it's got to be very careful. Fraser got to clear angle on Pony Rider. Don't think he's going to be getting out of this one, I'm afraid. The Copenhagen Flames, it's just continued to be a torrid time for them. Now, look at the circle. Obviously, it is going to make a big shift away. This is only, obviously, the second circle. Third circle, we know we pull away from water. This is probably over 50% water, I would say, right now.
Oh, yeah.
Now, circle 4, 100% will move away from water. So, looking at the positions where Ryan Lockwood is, I would say is probably the central point coming up soon.
We could see that. It might still have a little bit of the Bay Area. At this point, it's going to try to avoid water. Well, there's so much water, I don't think it's going to be able to avoid all of it. So it's just going to be a little bit more of a crapshoot this time around on where it could end up going. Everybody's kind of laying their claim and getting their stake where they think it's going to be at. But we can see the guys from Red Zone look like they're not too happy about Trash Dove being in their location, getting into a position where they might try to push on that.
Well, this is the tricky part, right? If it does go into South Georgia Bowl and finish off with an urban battle, if you're not in that urban battle early on, if you're not in position and secured yourself a compound, it can be very, very hard for the likes of FaZe, which is why we're seeing them make the move now. Hacksetti's going for it. Looks like he's actually going towards hospital. He is. Hacksetti's going to get into hospital. You can see Mexi in there alongside him as well. They're going to try and blast in, and they're making themselves secure. So they have a split. They've got 2 on Everest, 2 now down in South Georgia, because if it does swing that way, it is nigh on impossible to get out of there. Oh my
Liquid's running into Singularity. They're right on the edge of this.
Look at the shift again.
Oh my
Circle.
Lord.
This is horrific. So it's going to be finishing basically in and around just the west side of hospital will be the center point, because it 100% will move away from the water next. That is going to encircle this entire southeastern circle edge.
We have so many squads that are just stacked right on the southern edge of the safe zone, trying to make their way in. We're coming over here with a fight between Moonwolf and Grow Up. Grow Up's just getting torn apart on the outside of this. As you can see, O'Connell's got a nice position, but off in the distance of it, it's going to be Simplest. It's got some shots to rain back down on him.
I'll tell you what, the Knights are in a great spot right now. Long and welcome to South Georgia. We're singing around hospital. All of those guys have really a good spot for the next circle. That's what they're going to be looking towards. And remember, these are direct competition to FaZe. FaZe made that move, but look at the South Georgia poll. There's a lot of people making the move, but they're just getting ticked apart. Back to Zaki, ripping the Izuko balls apart. They had a great game in the last matchup, but this time they are getting caught in the rotation.
But now one is coming on the exact same rotation path. They're going to be running right in the same firing line that we saw a second ago. Oh, Freddy's, you got so many people that are collapsing in on you at the direct time. You can see that it's just ring around the rosy right now as he's playing in different positions. He's in that far back room right now. He can really make a lot of use out of it. It's hard to push back into that location, but Knights are just taking pot shots at everybody. We're starting to see people drop like flies. There's so much control points. So much of this is water. Everybody is just forced to fight just to get a foothold inside of the safe zone.
And that was his teammate trying to get up there. We saw the Knights taking shot on. That was Simplest trying to get around and try and join him. Samty, that's Liquid running into the back of Rogue. Just off in the distance, you can see Rogue. They're still at the tower. They haven't moved down that tower, so they've got themselves some clean shots, actually, on the boys from Liquid. Now, Liquid, where are they going to go? They either go Everest, they either follow the road, or they run into Method. Meanwhile, speaking of running into FaZe, they need the kills. They're looking to back to Zaki. Can they land any? Over the side of the warehouse, they're going to try and sprint straight across. Yemty wants a kill. He wants a knock. He wants anything he can get here, but it's not going to work.
You can see Red Zone's holding down the position back behind him. Guys trying to line it up. It's actually going to be the guys from Welcome to South Georgia that are going to get several knocks onto this. Red Zone's mixed inside of it. Ghost Star, one of the last surviving members from Boar, is showing up inside of that, getting himself some kills in a nice position there.
The Beats going straight past, and he is going to get caught out by Method. That's a battle for points. Meanwhile, Drayden here, who continues. Remember, third place for the Knights. They're going to pick apart Penta as they come down the coastline. They get themselves the second kill of the game. Liquid down to 2 now on the rotate. They've got Rogue following them on the south side. Hacksetti's picked up a kill. That's a knock at least. He hasn't confirmed the kill, but look at the south. Where's Liquid going? Where's Rogue going? Alliance are going to be sat right nearby. Liquid try and pop out of the vehicles. They're trying to take down Rogue as much as they can. It's going to be Jeeves lighting up Rogue, boys. Rogue, of course, has themselves 2 chicken dinners in day 1, but it's been a torrid time since then.
Liquid is having to play off of a hard defense point right now. Just 2 people up and alive. They did manage to make it inside the safe zone. They've been outside in the blue for so long. They had to burn so many stims just to get into this point. Lost 2 members. They're going to have to play as defensive as humanly possible. Meanwhile, Alliance is just taking shots at everybody as they're trying to make their way outside this blue. And you can see just being gate kept. All of these guys that moved early, got control, are just forcing these guys to tank so much blue damage.
Okay, 4th circle about to pop. We know that it's going to be sticking around the area. The landmass that is in there right now, because there is, I would say, over 50% water right now, it's going to completely pull away. It's going to go straight down. Everybody's in position, so rotations are not going to be a deal right now. Everybody will be safe. There we go. It pops in. It does force the Futures to edge in. FaZe Clan being one of them.
And Liquid has to move, and they have to go through 2 squads to do it. This is going to be very hard for them. They still have their vehicles up. You can see already hopping inside the motorcycle. Knights are still just controlling this beachfront, not letting anybody try to transition past them. You can see up in the north, it's very big. Scoon gets down. That's everybody from Liquid going down in 18th place.
That is a big deal. The points leaders being taken down. The question is, can anybody gain on this one? Knights have been collecting kills. Welcome to South George. They have a really good position in South George. Method creeping the way towards the hospital. The hospital is free right now. Izuko Bors, that's the last man standing. That's just below Chris.
He doesn't see him. You know right now he's just like, don't breathe, don't make any noise, just let them go on. We still have Ghost Star that's up and active as well. He's just in a very rough spot. 5 seconds before the circle starts to tick down, he's going to have to move out, but it's going to be FaZe that might provide him a little bit of a reprieve here. They can take some shots at the guys from Method and force them to move a different direction.
Bruxel, is he going to go? I mean, the blue zone's on his back. He's going to have to get going. Alliance outside the zone, Moonwolf outside the zone, FaZe Clan outside the zone. Izuko Bors, he's not the last man standing. Ghost Star's actually in South George as well, in the compounds, but he's very much next to one. Meanwhile, Rogue, you can see they did force themselves into this compound. They hold it right now with 4 alive still. A good performance here for them would certainly bounce them up the money, because while we're talking about obviously the top 3 positions going to Berlin, it is also about the money. FaZe Clan, they see Method as they move forward. Look on the hillside. Nexi and Haxetti are right there.
Buzzface is kind of pinned at the direct time, but they are doing a hard push onto the side of this mountain, trying to give him a little bit more cover, and you can see Method is just having to retreat back out of it. Rogue's taking some pot shots on the backside of this. It's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place at the direct time. Meanwhile, there is that still member of Bors that's just hiding down there. He's going to have to pop up at some point.
Let's go for the nade. He's going to try and pop it underhand. He thinks they're just below the ridge line. Yeah. That's going to clear it out. He knows they're not there now. As soon as that goes down, Bruxel's waiting. Waiting. He's got to go for it. He's getting tagged. It's actually Haxetti that will take him down. He gets the knock around the side there. Will confirm a kill. That's going to be 3 kills and counted for FaZe Clan. 45 points. That's what it's all about. They've got to keep on chasing those points. And Method, they are one of the point contenders alongside them, and they need these kills. Mexi going looking for it. Method, how are they going to be handle this? Mexi, he went so huge in the previous game. The nade's going to go on the top. That's going straight towards 80.
It's going to roll a little bit off in the distance. Does connect onto him, though. Mexi's going for a nice side push on this. You can see he's coming up. He thinks they're next to the vehicle. Finally, we're starting to see everybody from Method get dropped on this. One member up and alive, just cowering down. He gets spotted out, and that's going to be all she wrote.
A Method go down 15th place. That is not what they needed, but it is certainly what FaZe Clan needed. They are looking angry right now, and an angry FaZe Clan inside the circle is a dangerous, dangerous beast. There's still 14 teams alive, though, with 43 players, and it's Rogue taking shots on Alliance.
We right now have FaZe that has complete free movement now over to the hospital. Everybody's starting to get their foothold. Alliance still has to make their way inside the circle, so that's why you can see they're opting into vehicles. They're going to do a hard rotate around, but they've got Moonwolf in a position right next to him, and Knights. Knights has just been holding that zone and not letting anybody pass.
Alliance are going for it. They've realized they're taking too many shots. They're blasting. This is dangerous. They're going straight towards Foffens. Edikos also
down.
taking the shots. VZ getting picked off there as they try and get over the hills. They're going in towards the Knights on the other side. Kramer's very much right on top of Alliance as well as they try and find a home. You can see Kramer has a perfect angle. Siggy will get taken down. It's another kill going the way of the Knights as they collect the 4th, and they are taking points as well. This is not good for FaZe. They need one of these teams to drop out, and they're all alive, apart from Liquid, who are pretty much beyond reach.
You can see Knights still doing a great job of holding Moonwolf off in the distance there. They're just playing around this hillside. They can't move forward, and they need to. Nade's going out. I might connect on Edikos. I think he's crawling off in the distance. Tickles him a little bit, just enough to say hi. I'm over here. Okay, they're having to play around that lower area. They are inside the safe zone. Let's see where the next circle pops at. And we might have to see some hardships coming in. Just stays right on top of it. Welcome to South George. Still back in South George, and they are loving it with the circles right now.
Rogue taking shots at FaZe as FaZe move into hospital, but that's going to cost Rogue. Rogue need to move themselves in a moment. So now they've given their position away. FaZe Clan will be looking to take those kills. Welcome to South George, as you mentioned. They've gone for that beautiful 2-2 split. They can just keep on moving, keep on sweeping through. This is their land. This is their territory. They have FaZe Clan 700 points behind them. They need to make sure they finish well here.
Remember, Welcome to South George plays this every single game. This is their backyard. They know how to maneuver through here. They know the fights. They know the locations. But meanwhile, a lot of these teams don't necessarily get a play inside of this location. We still have Knights outside of the circle right now, they are really hungry for Moonwolf and trying to make sure that they can't reposition. But I gotta say, at a certain point, you have to be dangerous. 10 seconds before the circle starts to collapse,
Texas.
You're going for a hard flank at this direct time. That means you have to win this fight
Texas
fast.
right just the other side of this hill. Snake gets for the peek with the M24. Managed to land it on Voxic, but doesn't get the knock he was looking for. Gets a peek towards Kramer. All his shots being loud. Texas just got a little peek around the side there. Is he going to be feeling confident? Snake switches to the UMP. He's going for the flank. Onto Texas. Texas backs away from this one. Realizes probably a little too close. They're going to have the circle. They're going to be able to lock themselves out. Rogue have moved into the circle. You can see they've got to the south. So now Moonwolf, they're in a shooting range, crossfire position. It's not good for the Italians.
And it's just going to be Rogue strolling through this, finishing out a lines, taking the pot shots, making sure that nobody from Moonwolf can move into the circle. You can see it's right on their heels right now, closing in right back behind him, trying to line up that headshot. Just keeps missing by a little bit, but gonna steal away a kill there. Get something off of it. Yinnik gets taken down on the back of that. That's gonna be FaZe Clan coming off on the backside of that. They're in such a strong position as well at the direct time.
Snake will go down, and Moonwolf sorely being picked apart. The Italians in a real torrid situation, in a crossfire position. FaZe are on the move. FaZe are moving over to Rogue, are they? No, they've second-guessed themselves. It looks like they're kind of half-heartedly going for it, you know. FaZe are moving.
They know they need these kills, so they have to hunt down everything they can. They have to be running and gunning through every single one of these circles. They can hear the firefight that's happening over here. They know that it has to be weak, and they can keep seeing the kill feed. They know that Knights is over here, so they have to take this fight.
If Rogue turned and looked, then they would have a clean angle, but they've not. They're so focused on trying to get some third party in on Moonwolf. Now, are they realizing it? Are they looking towards the shots?
It's too
because
late
the cover fire was coming from Haxetti, but Mexi's right on top of them now. 6 kills and counted. The problem is they know the Knights are over here as well because they've been seeing the shots on
They
Moonwolf.
can hear the footsteps at this
so they're well aware they need to kill the Knights. They know they do, but Mexi's going to get caught out, gets a little too close. Hats gets tagged up, has to back down. Fobbers gets knocked by Fuzzface. Haxetti from range is going to finish the kill. GMT taking the shot as well. Jazzer's going down low, and Rogue just don't know what he's going on.
That was just such a sneaky play. I love the flank position way back in the back, just holding down, really just being an anchor for his team. Meanwhile, FaZe is getting a nice flank coming on top of them. Moonwolf still trying to fight their way outside of the blue. You can see how much damage they're doing. They just can't do anything off of it. So now we're going to have to see Knights crawl their way back over there. Jimty looks like he's trying to go for the res off the side of it. We still have one member of Rogue up and alive. Looks like he's going for a res as well. Meanwhile, Knights heard the skirmish. They know something's happening over
While
here.
this is all happening, the circle has shifted and it's kind of gone their way. So this battle for the hillside is very much a battle for points. The FaZe know they have to take the Knights down. They know they need to take these fights on. They're looking towards Rogue. Rogue are actually in trouble as well because they're in a full-on crossfire now. They've got the Knights who have dealt with Moonwolf now making their way down the hillside, and that makes it tricky for FaZe. They can't afford to push this because they don't really have a great deal of cover in the line of sight directly to the Knights.
Well, you have to be very, very careful because so many people can third party from a position on top of this hill. Meanwhile, it's just starting to explode inside of South George. You can see a nade's going to come out there. Going to go off in the distance a little bit. Guys from Red Zone also drop in this location, so they're very familiar with it. But on the outside of this, we have 2 squads that haven't been able to make their way inside the safe circle as of yet. Jimty's going for a push down the hillside. Going to try to look up the side of it. You can see Knights way off in the distance over there, but Rogue is just playing in this little divot. There's a little cubby that they just keep hiding down inside of.
Kramer's gone up on high. Knights have actually chose to split apart a little bit. That's one being eliminated by back to Zaki. They're going to go down. Yemty gets knocked by Drayden. He peaked a little too high. Mexi also knocked. That's 2 FaZe Clan down. Now Rogue, Ewan's going to go for the flank. Ewan can finish them off here. Ewan's going to try and push around. He does manage to get the knock in, but not before Drayden gets his backside down. FaZe Clan with 3 members down and out on the floor at the moment. Yemty's been revived. FaZe is going to go for the unhand smoke. Knights are pushing on this.
They know they're getting so much, they're doing so much damage on this. They're trying to sneak down. They know Jazz is down there. They just want to make sure that they can push off of this. This is what Texas loves to do. He just wants to get up in people's faces and just destroy them. Can Jazza make any play off this? Jazza does pop up, take the shots on it, but that gives away his position. Now we've got Knights in a weakened position going against a weakened FaZe.
First FaZe got Drayden down at the same time. As soon as they peeked over that hillside, they're still trying to get the revives. You can see they've got 2 revives to make. Texas is trying to get revived as well, so this is a battle for who can get on their feet the quickest with Drayden down in the distance. They're up. First FaZe is going for it. Look at this. He's going to get over the hill just before they get the revive. Gets himself a double. No! doesn't work out. Gets him straight down. Kramer and Six is picked off, but Voxic in the distance will get himself one on Haxetti. And the battle for reviving continues, but they confirm the kill. Fuzzface down. Mexi bleeding. Voxic going for it.
You can see the Knights have so much more health at the direct time, but they're afraid to push out and forward. They don't know that. They just know it's been res to res to res. Mexi's trying to get the shots and gets the connection on it. They're trying to fight their way out of this, but so much damage. Another down coming onto this. We're seeing FaZe just get repeatedly dropped. That means they're going to be bleeding out so fast.
Drayden trying to get in, get himself the smoke down. 10 kills and counter for the Knights, but he's in all sorts of trouble. He's taking shots. He's got to back away from this one. Jempty is going, looking for it. Still 9 kills. The revive coming in on Mexi. Jempty isn't going to be able to work it for this one. He's really just crawled inside the zone. No! He bled out to the play zone. FaZe down to 2. The circle moves right on top of Ryan Lockwood.
He has just been hiding inside of there and loving it. He's just like, please, nobody just push into the spot. We still have this explosion that's happening off to the side of it. Knights and FaZe finally taking a second to breathe, get their meds up, trying to figure out what's going to happen. But look at the cluster of teams that are still inside of South George. They're going to have to move out of this. That's going to be so bloody. These guys have to disengage off of each other, and you have to survive. Welcome to South George has their work cut out.
But they have 4 alive.
They do.
They have themselves the circle. And remember, it's FaZe Clan that are chasing Welcome to South George. It's why they had to take that fight in with the Knights. Knights got 2 alive. Now, Haxetti is back to the other side. So as soon as somebody goes over the brow of the hill, Yempty's facing the fight here. He's in a 2v1. But if they come over the brow of the hill, Haxetti has the silhouette position to try and get them down. But they're going to try and swing it around. Look at Drayden. Keep your eye on him because Haxetti's going to have an angle on him as soon as he comes around the side. Yempty using
I love
the
that. Look at that.
bush.
He's using the tree as it comes up on the side of it, so he gives him a little bit of extra cover. Going for the reposition. He does see it. Takes the shots on it, gets the down onto it. So now a lot stronger position coming out here. You can see the circle start to make its way in. This is going to be really hard for the Knights to get anything off of. Gets down. FaZe comes out on top of that and gets the down onto Knights, but now they have to move.
Jempty gets himself a reprieve, a kill. With the Knights going down in 8th place, that is the point score they're chasing now, but now they have to deal with Welcome to South George, who are pushing through the smoke. Haxetti's going to have the hillside while the carnage goes on in South Georgia Pole. Back to Zaki and Red Zone clashing with another. Wizards outside, Ganton making the movement. Meanwhile, Ryan Lockwood sits pretty in his house.
You can see Welcome to South George wanted nothing to do with these fights. They instantly run out. FaZe didn't have time to take any pot shots after him after as long as the fight that happened with Knights. So it's just turning bloody. Gaxie's holding down that wall way back on the outside of Welcome to of South George Pool. So they're just lining up shots on anybody that steps out.
Jempty gets pig cut down. Doesn't manage to confirm it. Now he does. There's another kill. 12 kills and counting. Welcome to South George, though, have dealt with Aros. Wizards in trouble. They're down to 1. Welcome to South George collecting those kills. Haxetti knows exactly where they are. Grenades just came his direction, but he's got to keep them the other side of that brow on the hill. If he peeks too much, his head will be taken off. Gova goes down. That's another FaZe Clan kill. 13 kills. Elgiganton running.
14.
Make it 14 and counting as they go straight head-to-head with Welcome to South George.
Meanwhile, you've got our guy, Ryan Lockwood, just hanging out, just being like, nope, don't mind me. The circle comes over to him again. He's like, nope, just leave it be, guys. I'm just going to hang out. You guys go have your party on the outside of it. But now it's on to FaZe. Sure, they have the 14 kills, but they've been down so many times. They've taken so much damage. Welcome to South George, still so strong right now.
Haxetti in a prime position, but look at this. Vard with the Mini 14. As soon as he peeks over that hill, shots will come their way. It's a 2v4. Welcome to South George with the 6 kills. Yempty, he's been landing those Kar 98s. He needs to get a big knock here. You can see him peeking. You can see him looking for it. He has to hand one, but more importantly, he needs to land it just as the circle begins to shrink.
You can see that Jempty's trying to get the line of sight. Every single time they pick up, trying to get the reposition line. Goes a little bit wide there, though. So we can see the reposition coming out. They want to get the car. They want to have a little bit of cover, trying to line up the shots onto it. Even if they lose a member, he crashes into right next to where Ryan Lockwood's at, but he's not going to step out.
Now they've got to be careful because their left flank is suddenly exposed. And yeah, look at Haxetti repositioning. They've already realized it. They can't afford this. So welcome to South George. They can use the numbers advantage. They can get around the side. He's actually gone into the shack, so Ryan Lockwood's got himself secure. Larson around the side, and now look at the movement on the mini-map. Look at Welcome to South George pushing the hill. Gaxie with a nade. He's got to push around the side. Haxetti gets knocked down. Larson takes him down. Welcome to South George. Taking names. And FaZe Clan go down in 3rd place. It's all on Ryan Lockwood in a 1v4, but Welcome to South George. Look to have this in the back. They come in straight in. Goes in looking. Doesn't find him. I don't know how.
It's hard to take those shots. He drop shots in. He gets the drop shot and gets the kill. Give me those 15 points. I'm going to go down swinging, but he does go down in the end. welcome to South George with another win.
What a performance, though, from the Knights, from FaZe Clan, from Welcome to South George. It was a chicken dinner that Welcome to South George absolutely needed. FaZe Clan nipping at their heels with around about 14 kills, I think it was, or something like that. Crazy, crazy stuff. But they only get themselves third place. Welcome to South George with the win, with the positional points and the kills. Let's get over to Des for that epic match.
You didn't think it could heat up anymore, but it just got hotter from game number 1 to game 2 here in day 3. WTSG gets themselves another chicken dinner, but oh boy, were there so many pivotal moments here in this game that we're going to get to break down, look at, bring to you in the fold, and what a game played out. For me, guys, the biggest story of that, aside from WTSG getting themselves another chicken dinner, is the Rogue FaZe Knights fight over towards that hill. That was stuff of brilliance, especially Knights versus FaZe.
Knights versus FaZe was, for me, one of the moments that just tells me this is why I love the game. And the goosebumps I got from that game was just insane. Super well played when they had the 2 knocks on each other, and both of the teams went for the revive. And then FaZe went extremely aggressive. That cost them 2 players. That could potentially also cost them the chicken dinner.
But let's give a big shout out to Jazza. Without him, that fight probably wouldn't have been as good.
Correct.
Because Knights took the advantage. They saw the knock on Rogue. They saw the double knock on FaZe. They made the right call, which was hard push, clear the hill. But Jazza was having none of it, got the double knock, and opened up the fight for what was probably one of the better fights I've seen in PGI so far.
I mean, exactly. I mean, I was heralding the Liquid versus Method fight as one of the best of the tournament so far. This one just trumped it one game after. And I think there is that dynamic of Knights know that they need to secure their spot in the top 3. FaZe know they need to be able to push that position. So once they see all the knocks going back and forth, there's that extra incentive for them to stick around and continue that fight almost.
When Berlin's on the line, the incentive is for greatness, right? We saw it in North America when Honey Badger Nation, who qualified, had to wipe out 2 teams. Wick did it with grenades by himself, killed everyone. This inspires great moves. FaZe is rising to the occasion. 14 kills. Sure, they got 3rd place, but if they keep putting in these kill counts with top 3s, especially with teams like Liquid going out in 18th place and fighting Knights, forcing them down in 9th, that is big.
The thing is, for this last game, Welcome to South George has the worst game. Now Liquid had the worst game. Knights still being in there in the middle. All of the top 3 teams currently, they're still extending the lead bit by bit. FaZe is just kind of trying to play catch-up.
Yeah, a few moments from this fight, as we were alluding to before, and so many knocks go down through this fight. Obviously, that has knock-on effects, no pun intended.
Look at this,
they actually get knocked. But this move from Jemty, the double kill from Jemty, was beautiful through the grass, just spotting small little movements behind it.
This shows me, again, we don't talk about Jemty that much. For me, Jemty is the best player in the world, and this is the reason why, again.
Yeah, I put him in top 3 of Bees and James. I think can mix in there as well, but Jemty is absolutely phenomenal. And here's the thing about that move by FaZe. They knew there were 9 teams left. They cannot go out in 9th place. So they sent Haxetti off on a flank roll to go deeper into this game just in case, but they knew their one weakness was the top of the hill. They left Jemty there in the 1v2. Jemty with the UMP, which we've talked about.
AK.
Oh, sorry, AK. We've talked about if you get that first shot off and go for the head, and he was able to. Like, the one advantage the AK has is from low to high ground. When that head peak pops up, if you can land that shot, you have the advantage, and he hit it twice.
Yeah, very, very well done by them. I want to kind of come back to, though, WTSG being able to take that win, of course, very important for them. They were in the top 3 before this, still going to be staying in the top 3 thanks to that win, I believe. And they were playing South George well. For obvious reasons, I think.
Oh, they've gotten a lot of practice in this tournament so far.
But they were able to take the buildings just north of Hospital. Good positions for them to transition between that little building as well as into the city, right?
Yeah, so they started in the hospital, and then they saw the circle shift a lot towards the water. And we know 4th circle goes as much away from water as possible, or tend to go as much away from water as possible. So they split up in a 2-2, taking the southeastern part of the West Town in South George.
Yeah.
Beautiful move, taking Pharmacy, moving out of Hospital, letting FaZe get in there. So they played that perfectly, had their cars with them the entire time, which was so important for that transition towards that ridge they had, which granted them the win as well.
It's not the most flashy play to sit there and wait it out, but it was a winning play.
It does multiple things. I mean, I've said before, going into the city is always a dangerous thing. And you talk about this. We had multiple teams, basically 8, 7, 6, 5, and 4. All of those teams were hiding inside of the compound right next to WTSG. Someone is going to get massacred coming out. And WTSG is not a team you want to fight anywhere near South Georgia Pool. So they were comfortable. Everyone else was out of their element.
Well, that's kind of what we had for some of those other city fights, right? I mean, when we had that, WTSG was there, Red Zone was there, El Giganten was there, Wizards was there, Baktazaki won, Grow Up had one member as well. But beyond that, you know that there's going to be that huge massacre. So there's a lot of points there available. And guys, I've just got notification that we can check in with the standings. Ooh. This is my favorite bit every single round here today. Welcome to South Georgia's taken the #1 spot. Likewise, Pittsburgh Knight as well. And this shows how bad a round Team Liquid just had here, I think.
Yeah, but I think you brought it up earlier, Avenger, when you said like the top problem is the top 3 keep running away from FaZe as fast as they can. FaZe is grabbing points. They're grabbing rope by handful, trying to call these guys closer. And the top 3 are within 30 points, essentially. Or the bottom 2, I should say, are within 20 points of each other. But the problem is that they're still doing so well. Knights has a bad, then Liquid has a bad, but then they do really well in the next one.
I mean, this is almost the worst case phase. Worst case phase for FaZe. Regardless, of course, though, them having the 2nd and 3rd get big points there, pushing further away from them. There's still that 700 points gap. But FaZe got 14 kills then, so it was big money.
FaZe are still playing catch-up here, but they're catching up bit by bit here. If one of the teams again have a bad game, if Liquid has a bad game here, Pittsburgh Knights has a bad game, they're still playing catch-up. They're 630 points away right now. They caught up 100 and something points on one game. If that continues with just 100 points each game, then they're not going to be able to catch up.
Whilst we look through the 11th and 20th as well, I do want to bring up something very important. And it's that it felt like Liquid changed strategy there, which did seem to hurt them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I said when I see Liquid play that they changed a little bit between 1 and 2, and they suffered for it. That I was worried that they were going to do well in that first game and then sort of lay off and change strategy, and they did. They rotated late. They came into the edge. They weren't play like we said. Traditionally, Liquid would have been in the compound that Atlantis was in, south of sort of FaZe on Everest, very early in that round. But they didn't do that. They played passive, and it cost them big time because you just stick to what you know, you play your game, and that's how you maintain your lead.
Other thoughts, Avenger? Looking at how the standings have worked out so far, Method didn't have the easiest time ever. 15th place going out in that one.
Method struggling. Sad to see that. I said that I want to see Knights do good. I want to see them frag out. They've been doing very well. If they didn't meet FaZe in that position and they were able to get 4 guys in that position, it would have been completely different. I think a full-on-fledged Pittsburgh Knights in the south there, they could have won that game. But unfortunately for them, FaZe, they're hungry for kills. And they're here to show up on Championship Sunday.
I mean, 14 kills in 3rd. If they had gotten 1st place, that would have been about a 700-point gain. They're not behind by that much when you look at it that way. If the next game happens, Liquid goes out at 18 or 19 again because of a late rotation or passive play, and they get that 1st and they get 700 points, they will overtake them and possibly move into 3rd place.
Now, I've got a question to ask you. Very, very important once again. How are you driving skills in the game? Not in real life, just in game. How are you driving skills, Avenger? What do you think?
I am not good with the 3-seater.
Nobody's good with a 3-seater. That's a cop-out answer.
No, it's my 2nd favorite vehicle.
Apart from you, apparently.
If I can't have this 2-seater, I want the 3. I just like the speed. It's important to get past people who are trying to spray you. The faster you go, the better off you are.
Okay, so how good is your driving overall?
Like ridiculously good.
Yeah?
Like I'm not kidding. Anybody I play with lets me drive. I'm good.
I will literally race you a 2-seater versus a 3-seater
race. I will crush you.
Well, okay.
Done deal.
You know,
Miramar. I challenge you to a Miramar race.
Let's do it. We'll record it sometime as well. It's going to be in
absolutely from Camp Military all the way down to prison through Picado Hills.
Very humble brags coming out here.
Listen, I don't shoot so good, but I drive like a boss.
All right, well, you know, here's what we're going to do. We're going to hear from the teams, see who they think is the worst driver on their team. Let's see.
Why are you looking at me?
Yeah, Chronix. If you hear that, Chronix, you suck driving.
We used to have one guy that was really bad, but it was the guy that had to quit playing. So
yeah, we
solved that problem a long time ago.
I would have to point to my buddy here.
It's definitely me. Crash into trees, flip over cars, like, yeah, can't avoid people really.
People end up dying.
Yeah.
The worst driver on our team is definitely Blaze. He done stuff that no one else has done.
Okay.
Probably me. 60. The amount of times he's flipped the bike is unbelievable. Killed himself.
You don't want to see me on the two-man bike.
He's banned basically.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to use them.
He's a meme.
No, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm a really good driver.
It's like 50% chance you die when you go with Frost.
No.
I'm not even exaggerating. Like, you can get this information from anyone in the scene. Anyone.
No.
He's the worst driver.
I think me, yeah. I don't know, I like to go so fast.
He just flipped his car over and over and over and over.
I go, you know.
He was dying too much on rotation by vehicle, so we started moving on foot. It was a
when we don't take the cars, I'm so happy, you know. Oh.
That's a hard one. We're all kind of bad from time to time.
Yeah.
I'd say I might be the best, to be honest.
The worst driver?
Mine?
I think Gova. Oh yeah, Gova will be, yeah. I think Gova is a bit crazy. Maybe that's the problem.
Definitely has to be me. Like.
Yeah, I think it's Chazza. It's Chazza or Ewan, but I think it has to be Chazza.
Yeah, terrain and stuff. It's hard.
Mormon, 100%.
I think we're all the worst drivers.
Really? Oh, I thought you were going to say me. We've all had incidents.
Yeah. I think Samty is like the best, and then the rest of us are just like trash.
Yeah, because every time we rotate, Mormon says, oh shit, what? Oh shit. And then you see the damage going down, like, guys, we need a ride.
I think it's you, Hex.
I think it's you, boss.
I would say I'm a pretty good driver. I drive pretty fast, and sometimes it doesn't go my way.